Hello everybody, and greetings to you from Sussex Defend the NHS, which is a campaign group based in Brighton. We're very pleased to be here to support you, and thank you very much to the GMB for the invitation. We're made up of people who work in the NHS, who use the NHS, and trade union representatives of the workers in the NHS. We're a broad-based campaign, but we are united in a single cause. We want to save the NHS. We're committed to an NHS which is universal, which is free at the point of delivery, which is publicly funded, publicly provided, and that delivers a publicly accountable, quality caring service. That's what unites us, and I'm sure all of you here and your friends and family also support that idea. We don't think we can do that, though. We don't think we can save the NHS unless we do what our banner says, unless workers, campaigners and communities work together. And that's why we're here. We've got... but what's all this got to do with those of you who are working at the hospital, whose jobs are threatened, those of you who are on the front line here, who are actually at the sharp end of something? Well, the truth is that what's happening to you is part of a much bigger picture. You're at the sharp end of a plot. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but there is no doubt, and I'm going to try and convince you, that there is a campaign, a plot, a systematic plot to introduce an American-style insurance-based system throughout the UK. You don't believe me? Well, think about it like this. Think about, what would I do? What would I do if I was a multinational firm? What would I do if I'd like to see that happen? What would I do if I was running a private health insurance company? And I wanted to persuade people to start paying premiums? What would I do? First of all, I'd want to see the NHS broken up, parcelled out, little bits and pieces. I'd want to see a ridiculous, stupid, market-based system where within the NHS, one department is buying services off another, a split between purchasers and providers. You know, that started a long time ago. It started with Thatcher, and it's with Thatcherism, and it's been continued. And you know what? What that does, it starts to challenge and help people to forget that the NHS is a public service for all. Then, I tell you what I'd do. I'd still publicly fund those services, but then I'd let them be provided by private companies, but under the NHS logo. That's right. So you go to your GP surgery, got NHS on the outside, but actually it's Care UK who's running it. We've got that in Brighton. Care UK, running surgeries, taking those profits up to Bridgewater Capital, you know, a hedge fund. You can't even see their accounts. So what that does, that eases in. It's a plot because it eases in those private companies. And you know who started that, I'm afraid? It was Thatcherism, and then the Labour government, the Blairite government continued that. They continued that, and until we get to this lot that we've got in now, this government we've got in now. Because all of that is nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to what has happened since 2012, when that Health and Social Care Act was pushed through Parliament, pushed through with the aid of some people who should have known better. Because in that Act of Parliament, all of those parcels and bits and pieces created in the 80s and 90s now had to be contracted out to any willing provider. And what that means is that the whole of the health market, and that's what it's become, a health market, is now open to huge private companies, to anybody to contract. What else would I do? I'd insist that there were big cuts in public funding to the health service. £20 billion that we're having already. So I could claim that we've got to do things cheaper. Does that sound familiar? That we've got to run down services so that NHS trusts find it hard to bid in competition with private companies. And then I'd arrange for multinationals to get all sorts of unfair advantages. People have already mentioned from the platform, tax havens, tax avoidance. Do you know the tax gap? That is the amount of tax that we ought to be getting from bankers, multinationals and the super rich is estimated at £120 billion per year. Per year. And then what I'd do, I'd hide the bidding process behind a smokescreen and say it's commercially confidential. You can't know who's bidding for this service. You can't know what they're saying they're going to be doing. You can't know the money involved. And then I give them contracts to control the bidding processes at the same time as letting them bid to run the services themselves, because that's a kind of corruption that's completely built in now to our commissioning service. I'd remove all regulation. I'd allow the power of the sovereign state to be tackled, to be challenged by multinationals. That's what the TTIP regulations, the TTIP negotiations are trying to do, the Transatlantic Trade Investment Partnership. That's what they're trying to do. Yeah. And then, and I'm afraid this is where you come in, those of you working at the hospital, then I'd bring about a tax on nurses and health workers. And that would be a tax through the media. So health workers begin to feel demoralised. It would be a tax on pay and conditions, again leading to demoralisation. And what is this heading towards? All of this is heading towards a system that is ripe for the takeover of private health. Okay, but we will fight back. It's great to see you here, and we're here to support you. And I hope that you'll support us too in our battles across Sussex and in Brighton. Thank you.